Hey champions, Arian, Tyson here. Wanted to shoot this video because I'm learning something. And I'm realizing that, even in my own life, sometimes the best advice is to take the advice that you give others. And so I remember asking for suggestions for topics. And so I received a message saying if I could do a video explaining the difference between courage and wisdom. And sometimes people get confused with if something is courage and if something is wisdom. And so I'm going to shoot this video, and hopefully it provides more clarity. And if you get value from this, feel free to leave me a comment. Feel free to share this video with someone. But I want to share with you the difference between courage and wisdom. Now, courage and wisdom are two very important things that we must have in life in order for us to live a fruitful and abundant life. And so I'll break it down like this. Pertaining to the difference between wisdom and courage in, let's say, a relationship, for example, you got to have both in order for the relationship to thrive and in order for the relationship to survive. And one of the things that I've learned over the relationships I've had, and a lot of times I learned it the hard way because relationships have not been too kind to me. And that's just me being transparent about it. It's something that's been a struggle for me, but I've learned from personal experience. So I have a lot of wisdom to impart. And not only that, it takes courage to admit that. But wisdom knows that all relationships change over time. All relationships. It doesn't matter if it's a friendship, a relationship, a marriage, a business partnership. All relationships change over time. Courage, on the other hand, knows when it's time to change the relationship. So I'm going to say it again. Wisdom knows that all relationships change over time. Courage knows when it's time to change the relationship. For example, if you know that you're in a relationship with somebody that's no good, that's toxic, it takes courage to walk away from that relationship. And the longer you wait, the harder it becomes to walk away, because we're creatures of habit. We are creatures of comfort. We like to be comfortable. But in the process of being comfortable, you can begin to settle. And the thing is, you have to be content, but you should never be satisfied, so to speak. And then not only that, you have to realize that another major difference when it comes to wisdom and when it comes to courage is that even when you look at the seasons, and I think about the seasons changing, because especially being from St. Louis, sometimes you can see 4 seasons in the same week. I'm just being real with you. But without winter, there can be no spring. Without mistakes, there can be no learning. And without doubts, there can be no faith. And without fears, there can be no courage. And the thing about it is that our mistakes, our doubts, our fears are the path that we get, the path that we take towards obtaining wisdom. So that's another difference. Courage, in another example, courage is being willing to work in the midst of a storm. We all go through storms in our life. And the thing is, some people fold under pressure. Some people shut down when they're in the midst of a storm, or they withdraw when they're in the midst of a storm. Courage is being willing to work in the midst of the storm. Wisdom is learning to work in the rain when you realize that you cannot afford to wait until the storm is past. Some people don't understand the importance of going through. So in the midst of the storm, they either stop or they turn around and they are willing to lose all the progress that they've made. But in order for us to, quote unquote, weather a storm, we have to have the courage and wisdom to know that you got to go through the storm in order for the storm to pass and for you to remain productive. And then finally, I will say that an important difference between courage and wisdom is that when you realize that you cannot become wise, or you can't become smart or intelligent or have common sense if you're afraid to make mistakes. Because here's the thing, being willing to make a mistake takes courage. Yet realizing that mistakes are stepping stones towards understanding is wisdom. These are differences between courage and wisdom. They're both important. They're both necessary to have. But you got to understand the difference. And I hope that I was able to shed a little light on the difference between these two important things that we must have in our life. So if you got value from this, feel free to leave me a comment. Feel free to share this video. If you have not already done so, feel free to subscribe to my YouTube channel. As always in life, you have two choices. You can make moves or you can make excuses, but you most certainly cannot do both. It's yours truly, Arian Tyson, the Moving Motivator, and I will talk to you on the next one. Peace.